Meeting of the St. Croix County Board of Supervisors. And we have our invocation today from Tim Sackett. Tim?
Thank you once again, and as always, for having this opportunity for a prayer and an opportunity to address the Lord in this way, publicly. I was recently inspired by a story of a woman by the name of Frances Perkins. And, I did skip school a little bit in high school, and I might have skipped the day that they learned. I was fascinated by this woman whose name was Frances Perkins. And in the early 20s, she had befriended Eleanor Roosevelt and eventually Franklin Roosevelt. And Franklin Roosevelt, in his first term in 1932, asked her to be the Secretary of Labor. So she was the first ever female cabinet member, and she served as Secretary of Labor for all 4 terms of FDR's presidencies. And so she was a fine Christian woman. She figured service to God through Bible study and prayer, and service to other people to be her true, real calling. And so she looked out not just for her own needs, but for the needs of others. And that's a scripture reference from Philippians that inspired her. And so she was always looking out for others in spite of all the powerful friends she had and all the powerful positions she held. She considered that true Christian faith and American patriotism were synonymous. And she was inspired by some of the things, especially what's written in Isaiah chapter 58. And it says here, the kind of work that God wants us to do. It says, to loose the bonds of the wicked, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke. She had such a desire to help through her work with women and children specifically who were working enormous amount of hours. And one of the things that she was able to accomplish was no more child labor was her ideal. And so she saw children as young as 9 and 10 years old working in garment factories and stuff. And then at one point she was able to get the work week reduced to 54 hours for women. That was a reduction. And so from there, we have today 40-hour work week, OSHA, all these different things to help manage people's lives who were very much in bondage and oppressed through a lot of the labor that they had to do. So she was very, very attuned to the people. She was an advocate for all workers, especially for the women and the children. And so her inspiration from Philippians 2 to not look after her own interests only, but for others, and her Isaiah 58 to break some of the bonds and straps of the yokes that she saw people in the early century. She started this work in 1909 and continued, and she was a fascinating woman to me, and I just learned about her. And so I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she's the kind of person that I would think would be a very true American and a very true Christian because of the way she applied her gifts and her strengths. So I hope that's an inspiration to us to find our gifts and our strengths that God offers us and to use them. Let's pray. Father in heaven, it's inspiring to know whether it's biblical characters like the apostles, the disciples, the prophets, and the priests, or it's some of the people that we can relate to the most, people who grew up in this country and lived in this country and gave service to this country so that many people have some guaranteed freedoms that they didn't have. So we thank you for the inspiration and the work that a woman like Frances Perkins was able to do to offer more freedom and opportunity to people. the way that she did. We thank you, Lord, for giving us the kind of freedom and the opportunities and the abilities to express our opinions and to do the work that we do and to offer so much, not only to our country, but to our neighbors. So help us to be diligent about all of that. In Jesus' name, amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As for roll call, Supervisors Osnes, Adams, and Ramberg are excused. Supervisor Burning will be joining us at some point virtually. Supervisor Anderson will be a little late, as will Supervisor Hanson. So they should still be here. And of course, our District 8 is temporarily vacant. And all other supervisors are present and accounted for, I believe. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to appointment. Speaking of District 8, appointment of a county board supervisor to fill the remaining term for District 8. We've gone through the process and interviewed candidates, and I'm recommending the appointment of Christine McCarthy. I think she's not only has an excellent background, and she will be a fabulous complement to this board. So I'm looking for a motion for this appointment. Supervisor Shirley?
I'll make a motion to appoint Christine McCarthy for the County Board Supervisor, District 8.
And second? Supervisor Barkalow? No, any real discussion, right? Okay, good, thank you. Okay, we are ready to vote on that appointment. And that passes unanimously. Congratulations, Christine. It's great to have you join us. If you'd like, you are welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Chair Long, and thank you, supervisors. I'm honored and grateful for the opportunity to serve St. Croix County and ensure our residents' voices are reflected in county decisions. Thank you.
We'll get Christine sworn in, and then we'll have her seated, and then she can start voting on stuff.
Works for me.
Right by the microphone. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. I, Christine McCarthy, having been appointed
I, Christine McCarthy, having been appointed
to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 8,
to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 8,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pen.
All right.
I don't know if there's one right here.
Look over here. I did see one. Oh, no.
We'll sign it up there.
And you do realize we're kind of throwing you into the fire tonight, Christine, so I hope you're okay with that, but I'm confident you'll do great. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. I'd like to make a couple of comments to begin with. First of all, I want to thank everyone from the public for being here. Thank you for all the comments, the phone calls, the emails that we've been getting. We are sincerely interested in your concerns and your opinions. Just the fact that you're here this is a great process. You want to be part of this process, and we really, really do appreciate it. So thank you. We do have a fairly significant volume of people who would like to speak tonight. So I am going to have to put some limitations on, which I don't like to do, and I don't really want to, but I want to give as many people the opportunity to speak as we possibly can. So we will limit the time to 2 minutes, and I will also limit the time to 1 hour. I think by then we will have heard most of the comments that we need to hear. Please be cognizant of the 2 minutes. The actual countdown, if you will be on the monitor at the podium. So you'll get an idea of where you're at in that 2 minutes. And once it disappears, that means your time is up. So please try to wrap it up as much as you can. And it's also only current residents of St. Croix County. And please do your best to be concise and try not to repeat too much so we can make sure we can hear from as many people as we can. I want to make one other comment I'm not real happy about, but I did view the video of the Community Development Committee meeting 2 weeks ago, and there were a ton of really good comments, very constructive, very positive comments made. But there was also some individuals who I was actually very disappointed in because they were very critical of the committee and kind of belittled the committee that I thought was very inappropriate. So I just want to remind everyone, please be respectful. So we won't have any yelling, applause. Please be as constructive as you possibly can. It's my job to maintain decorum, so that's what I will do. So we are going to start out. I got a stack, 13. We're going to start out with Amber Hahn. And then after Amber, we're going to go on to John Gostovich. And Amber she's probably upstairs, so just give her a quick minute. There's a little bit of a delay.
And then you'll announce on decks the next one.
Yes, I did. Yep. Okay. Okay. Well, I know John's right here. Go ahead, John. We'll let Amber go after you. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the county board who represent all of us and who, according to your own guiding principles, and I think this is important, it's an opportunity for us to work together for the benefit of everyone in our community and to find creative and efficient ways to provide services. Negotiating a joint development agreement for the 10-mile project is a significant opportunity to achieve community benefits that would otherwise not be available. Remember, and this is what my wife says all the time, if you don't ask, you will not get. If you prematurely abandon negotiations on the county's behalf for a beneficial joint development agreement, you'll be giving up one of your most realistic, practical, and straightforward means of addressing the issues that have been raised by your constituents about this project. People who opposed the solar development have raised their concerns, and their concerns are serious. At this point, a joint development agreement is the best and only means the county has to serve these constituents and address these issues that they've raised. There's no reason that a joint development agreement, if it's negotiated in good faith with the utility that's also abiding by the law and negotiating in good faith, can't specify how to deal with project impacts on the rural viewshed and visual screening options. JDA can address noise, glare, and other nuisance impacts. It can talk about fire suppression and emergency response. It can talk about possible toxic contaminations or the issues of stray voltage. And if my time is up, I'm just going to urge you to roll up your sleeves, work on the JDA, and get the best deal you possibly can for the men and women who are here tonight. I don't see any other options that is potentially as beneficial as this. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully Amber has joined us now. There's Amber, and following Amber will be Celeste Cobero. Celeste, you'll be next.
Sorry for the delay, I was upstairs. I am here tonight to address the board as a resident of St. Croix County and of District 10. It's come to my attention as I do try to keep some track of what the activities on the board is that our representative in District 10 has been absent since November of 2024. I certainly don't mean any ill will toward Dave Osnes in coming to speak today. However, I do feel strongly that in order for democracy to be served and for our district in particular to be served, it's important that we have a voice on standing committees and that we have a voice on this county board. And as of right now, I certainly don't want to get into Mr. Osnes's personal business, but I don't at least have any information that there's any expected return of Mr. Osnes to this board. And so I just want to raise the concern to this board. I would ask you to review the county board rules in regards to removal of a supervisor. By my count, Mr. Osnes has, if the July meeting had not been canceled, this would have been his 5th absence to a county board meeting. I understand they've been excused, although there was, I think, 1 unexcused. And also I count 12 standing committee meetings have been missed. I personally find the removal rule a little bit difficult to interpret. I would also say that dividing it by a 12-month time period, dividing it into first term and first year of the term and second year of the term does, I think, the residents a little bit of a disservice. As our representative, as I said, has been missing since November of 2024. We have not had a voice on this board, and we don't see any end in sight. There's been no communication regarding that either. So I would just urge all of you board members to please review the county board rules as it relates to removal of a supervisor, review the situation with Mr. Osnes, and support District 10 having representation on this board. Thank you.
Okay, Celeste, following Celeste will be Quinn Rowe.
Good afternoon. My name is Celeste Cobrel. I live in the town of Hudson, Supervisor District 4. You heard from my husband that I often say, you don't ask, you don't get. Well, that's because for more than 40 years, I have had a private practice as a facilitative mediator, assisting parties in a wide range of civil disputes. And I assist them in attempting to negotiate a mutually acceptable resolution to a situation of mutual concern. So I'm here tonight to say, please continue negotiating a joint development agreement. Why? Well, where you are in the process is very, very early. To my understanding, you have basically a first draft in front of you. There have been very few communications. In my experience, a complicated project, a complicated situation of mutual concern requires ongoing conversations over a sufficient period of time to see if you are actually going to reach impasse. You're nowhere near that. And your joint development agreement negotiations are your best opportunity early in this process to be able to ask for whatever it takes that residents of this county need and want, and that your county needs and wants, in order to make this proposed project as good as it can be. It won't be perfect. It needs to be good enough. And if you negotiate and you reach an impasse, and you have a less than perfect joint development agreement, which you will have, you have to ask if it's good enough. And in evaluating if it's good enough, you have to look at your best, your worst, and your most likely alternatives to a joint development agreement. Right now, you have something on the table in your first draft that is far superior to what you can get by statute. And the fact of the matter is, The statutes make it very unlikely that anybody can stop this project. So listen hard to the concerns that people express. Make notes. Give those notes to your negotiators. That's what they need to get in the agreement. Please don't stop talking now.
Okay, Quinn Rowe. Quinn. After Quinn will be Paul. How do you pronounce his last name? Paul Haig. Paul. There you go. Okay, back.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Quinn Rowe. I'm a resident of the city of Hudson. I'm here tonight in support of responsible clean energy development in the county. So regarding business item 1 on the board's agenda, it would behoove the board to continue JDA negotiations to ensure that the proposed 10 Mile Creek solar farm works in the best interests of the county and its residents. So this solar farm has the potential to generate affordable clean energy for ratepayers and revenue for the county. Continued JDA negotiations would allow the county to represent its residents in a constructive manner at the negotiating table. In the current draft, Excel has already made significant concessions in regards to a required environmental impact study, a solar setback distance of 100 feet from property lines, and various aesthetic concerns. Throwing away the possibilities of a JDA would also throw out these concessions, forcing the county to act as a PSC intervener, a process significantly more costly, and one in which the county has much less bargaining power. There's no guarantee that the county would be able to get anything through the PSC intervener process with regard to protecting our quality of life, and could forfeit the concessions that were already negotiated. Tossing out a JDA and instead intervening at the PSC wouldn't stop the solar farm, if that is the goal here. Instead, your constituents would be represented at the negotiating table with less bang for more buck. I strongly encourage you to continue the JDA process. Thank you.
Paul, you're up, followed by Carolyn Fuchs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. I'm Paul Hugh. I'm town chair for Hammond, but I also serve as the president for Board of Commissioners for United Fire and Rescue. So tonight I'm here to make sure that not only are our residents protected, but our first responders, whether they be full-time first responders or part-time or volunteer. We need to make sure that if there's an incident, if this facility goes through, that we have the proper training and that our first responders are protected. Electricity, hazards, fumes, all of these things. And so we really need to have a lot of language in there and a lot of training so that everybody that's involved in an emergency situation can get it taken care of. We don't want to have bad smoke like we've had from Canada. We've had more bad air days this summer, I think, than most. And we certainly don't need a lot of shelter in place due to fumes or smoke from this facility if in fact it goes through. So that's my concern, and that's what I want is language for all of our residents as well as, like I say, first responders. Thank you.
Okay, Carolyn, and will be followed by Everett Fuchs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and County Supervisors. I live in Hudson in District 6. I cannot completely understand how people feel who are going to have a solar farm near their house. However, I've lived in St. Croix County for 46 years, and I am concerned about the water quality in the St. Croix River. The St. Croix River is a protected body of water, and it's an impaired body of water. When my sons were young, I would take them swimming down at lakefront. Today, the beaches on the St. Croix are closed due to blue-green algae caused by high levels of phosphorus and are unsafe for swimming. I'm angry, frustrated, and sad, but I have the power to speak up. It is my understanding that the 10 Mile Creek solar project can contribute to the lowering the levels of phosphorus in the St. Croix River, as well as providing clean energy. An article in Renew Wisconsin writes, consider the recently approved Onion River Solar Project in Sheboygan County. When completed in early 2023, this 150 megawatt project should significantly reduce water pollution. The Onion River developer, Roger Power, plans to establish plantings compatible with grazing and pollinating around and underneath the solar arrays. During the Public Service Commission's review of the project, Dr. Paul Matheson, staff scientist for Clean Water Wisconsin, testified that replacing the existing cropping regime with mixed grasses will reduce the phosphorus runoff to nearby waters 85 to 98% in the local watershed. Over 30 years, the plantings will prevent 100,000 pounds of phosphorus from being added to the local stream network. Reducing phosphorus runoff into rivers and lakes is vital for preventing algae blooms which threaten aquatic life and recreation. St. Croix County has the power to put safeguards in place in a joint development agreement to represent the community's concerns and the concerns of 10 Mile Solar Creek project. Thank you.
Everett, you are up, and you will be followed by Virginia Drath.
Yes, also from Hudson. I have 6 points for your considerations. Number one, it is way too early in the process to make an intervention decision that is irreversible. Let's wait until the full details of the proposal are known and the reception of Excel and the Public Service Commission to requests from St. Croix County can be reliably judged. 2, before the intervention vote is taken, let's clearly describe all the public concerns and negotiate to address them. If negotiations are unsatisfactory, an intervention could be taken at that time. 3, I think the opposition to this proposal has served a positive purpose in that it has created some negotiating leverage. 4, the probability of successfully stopping this type of proposal based on history is 0. State law requires approval. Excel has all the signed land contracts they need, and the county can't overturn the legal rights of farmers to lease their property. It is a done deal. As a fiscal conservative, number 5, as a fiscal conservative, I understand that intervention would be extremely expensive. Can anyone tell me right now what intervention would cost? If not, I have a problem with a decision with unknown costs, as intervention would mean higher taxes or reduced services. And finally, number 6, Excel undoubtedly would prefer to have St. Croix County seek an intervention now. This would mean they would not have to deal with the county having a seat at the table or a voice with the Public Service Commission. It would also save them at least $100 million in payments to municipalities, and they would only have to comply with minimum state requirements because the county could not negotiate any additional measures. Is that really going to benefit anyone except Excel? How will that benefit any county residents? Please give this decision your utmost consideration. You will live with it for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Virginia is up, and she will be followed by Steve Vanetta.
Good evening. My name is Virginia Drath. I live in Emerald Township. For the last 15 plus years, I've watched what's going on with manure around my neck of the woods. I live 1.5 miles away from Croix Dairy. So it does have history, and I've seen manure coming and going. Last night at 9:45, there was a honey wagon going past my house from spreading in a field kitty corner from my farm area. And it's pretty bad. So I would like to I like the amendment to section 11.302A5 that all land application Agreements must be made with the landowner, not just the renter or operator. It's only common courtesy to the landowner to know what is being applied to their land, what the soil tests are, and what maybe there's too much phosphorus, and they should know that so they can change their contract. How many different operators are applying whatever on their land? Setbacks from streams and neighbors who are organic farmers. I believe in transparency and being proactive instead of reactive. And down the line, who knows if we go through possible digesters, and then we've got a whole problem with what's being put on our land, if it's a co-digester or whatever, it's possible. So it's tried before. So if the landowner doesn't know what's going on in their land, they could be very disappointed with what is happening to their land. So I support that amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Vanetta will be followed by Roxanne Jorstad.
Yes, I'm Steve Vanetta, resident of Hudson, fairly new. Only found out about this last Thursday, so there's a lot of information or people that are more informed about this than I am. I basically have two questions. Each has two parts. I'm curious about what percentage of the energy that will be generated by this field for the St. Croix County residents and businesses, and what percentage of that would be outside of St. Croix County, and possibly where that energy is going. So that's question one. Question two, will taxes be impacted on St. Croix County residents or businesses? And if yes, does that mean increase or decrease? And will we see those tax or impact, cost impacts from Excel or at the state or local level? Those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Roxanne will be followed by Tom Bruscheidel.
Thank you. I'm Roxanne Jorstad. I live in New Richmond. I spoke at the July 22nd meeting about American engineers finding kill switches and the risks posed by the small communication devices found within the power inverters. We should all be concerned that these devices can be used to skirt utility firewalls, switch off inverters remotely, and change settings, which could destabilize our grids, damage energy infrastructure, and trigger widespread blackouts, a built-in way to destroy our grid. $5 trillion has been spent worldwide in the last 2 decades to subsidize wind, solar, and other so-called renewables. Follow the money. Solar farms lack proper governance. Xcel is a large corporation that knowingly bypasses proper procedure. The JDA agreement presented at the July 22nd meeting was pathetic. We are not a superpower nation when we do not protect our land. You have a responsibility to protect St. Croix County. St. Croix County needs strong solar land use regulations. Protect our county for future generations. Research thorium. The symbol is TH. It's not nuclear, solar, or wind, and it's 100% clean and virtually limitless, requiring little to no modifications to existing reactors, which could save time and money. My husband and I oppose the destruction of farmland for toxic solar farm construction. Please strengthen our economic future. no to solar in St. Croix County. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom will be followed by Linda Hendricks.
Hello, I'm Tom Branchetto. Good afternoon to the board, and thank you for this opportunity to provide comments on the joint development agreement proposed for the 10 Mile Creek Solar Project. First, let us remember Xcel is a for-profit corporation, and I do not believe there is anything wrong with the concept of a corporation making money for their shareholders. It has a fiduciary duty to make money for the shareholders. This is the reason Xcel exists, to make a profit and maximize that profit. No corporation can sustain itself if it continually operates at a loss. Every decision that its board and directors make is viewed through the lens of revenue versus cost and how the requirements of any operation or projects affect their quarterly P&L. The JDL was written very deliberately for Xcel to reach the goal of making the shareholders profit, protecting the shareholders' profit. The JDA makes many warm, fuzzy statements that Xcel will work towards being a good neighbor to the people of the county and will always work towards being part of the community, but never makes a statement that is objectively measurable. This is the public image Xcel actively works in all its marketing to produce for the public. The JDA is completely one-sided. It only puts in place requirements that the county will be required to meet and does not begin to address any specific requirements that Xcel will comply with to be good neighbors. The JDA is an attempt for Xcel to make it seem like they will work hand in hand with the county. Xcel requirements to meet the obligations of the JDA are vague notions of helping the community. One of the most egregious statements in the JDA is that parties agree that the project is under the jurisdiction of the PSCW. Full stop. The county agrees that only the PSC will have any control and that the county forfeits any requirements or restrictions it may deem necessary for the project to be acceptable to the county residents. Tony Evers has been very clear in his policies that Wisconsin will be carbon-free by 2050. As a part of this policy, he has appointed PSC commissioners that will view green energy projects as priorities for the state to push forward regardless of concerns of the residents. We as residents need the county to take an adversarial stance with both the PSC and Xcel. If you do not, the residents will have no voice in this process. My request is that the committee vote to not approve the JDA with Xcel Energy. Thank you.
Linda Hendrick will be followed by Janet. Oh boy. Sisperik? I'm sure I butchered that, sorry.
Hi, I'm Linda Hendricks from town of Richmond. I would like to speak in strong support of the 10 Mile Creek Solar Farm. For a number of years, I have followed a site called CO2.earth. This site gives daily readouts of the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere from the Mauna Loa telescope in Hawaii. Today's reading is 425.55 parts per million. For climate stability, we should be 350 parts per million. This explains many of the issues we are having today, such as excessive heat fluctuations, floods, wildfires, hurricanes. Other organizations such as 350.org follow the same principle. The coal-fired plant in the Stillwater Oak Park Heights area needs to be shut down due to its age and carbon emissions. We need alternative energy that's safe and reliable, especially as our county is growing so much. Working with Xcel Energy will reap huge benefits to our county, whereas fighting this farm will incur huge costs with no good outcome. On a side note, we have very high nitrate readings in our well water. Last tested 3 weeks ago, we sat at 16.6 milligrams per liter from our faucet. We should be under 10. If I have a choice of solar panels near my property versus more CAFO manure spread on farm fields around my house, I choose the former. Please vote yes on the solar farm. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Janet, I hope I didn't butcher your last name too badly. Sisperik? I close? Who will be followed by Cynthia Stokuls? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm Janet Sapurik. I live in Baldwin. In the newspaper, Ken Witt is quoted, "You're not going to be successful at the PSC." I beg to differ. I lived in Forest Township when the proposed wind farm was thwarted by the PSC. The PSC placed 24 conditions, one of which was to agree on decommissioning. That was huge in stopping the project as the two sides were miles apart. No one wanted to pay millions of dollars, and it was an impasse. The comparison chart that the county staff made between the county ordinance for under 100 megawatts and Excel's proposed JDA for 650 megawatts likewise reflects this disparity. Nobody wants to pay millions for decommissioning. In most categories, Excel's offer meets or exceeds the less than 100 megawatt requirements, except the decommissioning part is a totally inadequate offer by Excel. They should post a bond and be required to pay all costs of cleanup. The shared revenue payments won't begin to pay for all the road damage. Their $50,000 sweetener to be shared by school districts is a drop in the bucket compared to their annual operating budgets. I read in the newspaper the county is considering up to $75 million for a new jail and communications upgrade. If I remember correctly, our total legal bills in Forest for both the township and the citizens group were about $500,000. This included expert witnesses and testimony from the victims of the wind farm's previous project where 3 homes became unlivable. Even if the legal costs have increased by now, it's a drop in the bucket compared to $75 million. I think most people would rather pay more in taxes to fend it off than foot the cost of having it. If you're worried about money, the legal fees for the PSC will be way lower than the cleanup, polluted water, repairing road damage, and decommissioning. Our realtor filed an affidavit on the PSC docket that our homes became unsellable when prospective buyers learned of the proposed wind farm. In summary, I believe Mr. Witt is incorrect to say the PSC route will not be successful. No guarantee, but I believe it's the better option. I don't know anyone in favor of this massive solar farm except those who want to get money for leasing their land. As elected officials, it's your duty to do what the electorate wants, not what Excel wants. Please oppose the project at the PSC. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Cynthia, I didn't do too bad on the last name.
That's okay. I'm Cynthia Stockwitz, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I did a lot of research over the past 8-9 months and have gone to a lot of the meetings and listened to the presentations. In summary, I pulled up this afternoon problems with solar farms. 1, health, people, animals, and plants are impacted. That's the health of people, plants, and animals. 2, property values. 3, the water table damage from huge areas beyond where the solar farm exists. And an example was made where they drive, at the last meeting I attended, they drive the pilings into the ground, and they're dirty, and they contaminate the water table. And the analogy was made that it's kind of like going to the dentist and not having your dentist use clean drills. Your blood will be affected like the water. So this is beyond just the area that is going to be the solar farm. Next, we cannot return the land after its use and its lease to farming. And there's lots of reasons for that because of the shards, and I know some of these things were discussed recently in mailings that came out. It's glass, and the contamination will not be able to be used by farmers, especially where animals are present. And I'm not sure about planting. It's possible that the plants could also absorb the glass shards, and that would, of course, be harmful to animals consuming it. Next, shorter lifespan than it has been predicted. Another thing is we have 89 days of true sun in the state. That was a shock to me because I've lived here a long time, and that is according to databases that look at our environment and weather. There's also a shorter lifespan because of the major storms. I think we all can testify that we've had a lot of major storms, major hail, and wind, especially in this area. Next, cleaning panels. In areas where there's dust, such as when it's dry here with farmland, those panels have to be cleaned, and it is a big and dirty process. And then the water is contaminated and goes into the land again, or runoff. Next is recycling the panels. This is a whole topic that if anybody wants to look in, it's been documented worldwide that just the materials that go into these panels, the toxic materials, huge problem. Next is lower power generation compared to the clean coal-fired plants and other sources. They can generate up to a third, and this is a concern right now because everybody's talking about data centers. Where are we going to get the power for data centers when we're going to do something like this that will generate less? And then we're looking at reducing residential power, which Excel has admitted when you look at Minnesota. American Experiment over there has commented that their move to solar over in Minnesota has been a huge problem.
Cynthia, can you wrap it up, please?
Oh, certainly. I'm sorry. Finally, fires, which we talked about, and all the toxic contamination of lead and things like that. And thank you very much for your time.
Kathy Brakey, I'm sorry I didn't announce that name previously. Is Kathy in the room? If not, she's probably upstairs. Why don't we go ahead with Sue Curtis? Sue? And that can be followed by Kathy.
Hello, I'm Sue Curtis, but I'm speaking today on behalf of St. Croix Cures, Citizens Uniting for Responsible Environmental Stewardship. First, I want to thank the board for hearing everyone's concern again, and I want to shout out to the Community Development Committee for their focus on clean water, and I want to thank them publicly for that, and for taking the time to rethink the manure storage ordinance and the language on land spreading agreements. Clean water, we know, will be an issue for the next decade and beyond. Over the past year, I shared last at the Community Development Committee that we've been speaking to people who have concerns about high nitrates in their wells and other contaminants from bacteria, herbicides, and insecticides. So protection of our watershed from any development that impacts our water is an issue. St. Croix Cures has developed a joint statement on the 10 Mile Creek project. The St. Croix Cures believes that every person deserves clean drinking water. St. Croix Cures works to ensure that every development project, let me state, every development project is designed, sited, constructed, and managed to best protect the quality of surface and groundwaters. St. Croix Cures asks that at this time that the county consider the renegotiation of a joint development agreement with Xcel Energy to achieve this objective. We believe that by continuing the joint development agreement, we can get all of the concerns from the county members, and it puts more power to protect the community as we see best. Lastly, for those of you in the audience and for our county board members, we'd like to invite you to our St. Croix Watershed Clean Food and Water Forum held on Saturday, October 4th at the YMCA Farm and RCU Center. It's free and open to the public. Thank you.
Kathy, you've joined us. Kathy will be followed by Rob Kriebik.
Thank you. I'm Kathy Brackey from Town of St. Joe. Many of the previous speakers have spoken very eloquently about the advantages of having a joint development agreement. I especially appreciated the comments of the first speakers, John and Celeste, so I won't reiterate everything that they said, but I would just like to express my support for that position and note that the board's decision on the joint development agreement will set a precedent for how St. Croix County engages with similar projects in the future and may determine whether the board has any input for local residents' concerns, of which you've heard many this afternoon. Other counties in Wisconsin have successfully used joint development agreements to get better outcomes for their communities. We should do the same. Please don't give up our seat at the table. Thank you.
Rob, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Rob Kreibich, representative from the 20th Assembly District, which includes both Erin Prairie and the town of Hammond. I'm here tonight to just encourage all of you to support the committee process and the vote there and to reject any joint development agreement with XL. Let's review how we got here tonight. XL made their initial public information meeting about this project far away from the origin, actually at the FIP Center in Hudson. When there was an outcry, they said, well, we'll have a open dialogue at Northwood Tech College. That was canceled a couple days before the event. To this day, they have not held an in-person meeting where most of this project is going to be in the town of Erin Prairie. I'm asking you tonight not to reward that kind of arrogance. Secondly, 2 state agencies have to approve and submit reports about this project before it can proceed, so I disagree that it's a done deal. The Ag Department, the state Ag Department, has already released their report. I encourage you to read it. It's a devastating report that basically says this project is going to ruin the topsoil forever in the town of Erin Prairie. The state has a grading system for all the farmland in the state of Wisconsin, and Erin Prairie farmland is considered the top-rated farmland in the state of Wisconsin. The other agency that still has to submit a report about this project is the DNR, and frankly, I can't wait for that one and to read about this project's impact on groundwater, on watersheds, and on habitat in that area. What I told the committee, and I'll tell all of you, is this spring we passed 3 bills in the state legislature on a bipartisan measure that were signed by Governor Evers related to nuclear fusion. That's the future in this state, not solar. You can, with your vote tonight, send a message to XL Energy to take this project back to the state of Minnesota. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I forgot to announce the next name. Steve Woldka? Yeah, I didn't even come close, huh, Steve? Steve will be followed by Bonnie Smith.
Name's Steve Wadega. It's spelled wrong. There's an A on the end, but I'm used to that. Anyways, I did send the board, emailed the board members a handout today, and I do it in 2 parts because it's so large. There's so many issues to talk about this whole thing. I am in Erin Prairie Township, and we are the ground zero of this whole thing. In that, what I sent them, and I'll leave a copy for the record today so that they have it here. There's overlays of maps. We took our comprehensive plan, which has a number of maps in it, groundwater maps, contamination maps, you name it, it's got a map for everything. Cedar Corp put it together, and we overlaid the solar project over that. And if you look through that, you will see the impact that solar panel project will have. We did both for the phase 1 properties and the alternative properties. We also did, because the county didn't do it, is we took the sinkhole map that the county has on their website and overlaid over that. So you will see the known sinkholes that come in. Karst is one word I haven't heard yet today. Karst formations and stuff like that. You will see how that happens. You'll see the sinkholes lining up, the known ones, the unknown ones aren't there, the ones in the future aren't there. There's information about their Karst. County's website has information about the Karst system. Your comprehensive plan has information about the Karst and how that affects everything. There's pictures in there of Gillen Quarry that'll show the Karst formations on the side. There's pictures of the storm damage that happened in New Richmond to the solar panels when they got ripped off in the most recent storm. There's a tornado that I actually took when I was driving along County Road E that crossed into where these solar panels are going to go. So your JDA, it seems like it's prevalent that everyone here has talked not in favor of the JDA because there's a lot of holes in it. So that's definitely a thing. But the biggest thing is farm preservation. Barron County right now is suing the PSC. So it's kind of brought up that you can't do anything or you can do anything. in your JDA, you're going to give up all that rights. But Barron County's suing based on zoning, based on health and safety, based on costs and stuff like that. Those are all issues, the same issues that are here. And I say that I'm out of time. So essentially, solar doesn't preserve farmland. Farming preserves farmland. Don't give away the farm. Don't make this St. Croix Chernobyl in the future. That will be your legacy if that happens. As somebody talked about, what's your future thing? Because this is 30, 40, 50 years. Yes, there's 2 extensions, 10-year extensions in those leases. And that's provided that everything goes there. And unless you provide for all the costs, 100% of the safeguards in that JDA, and Excel pays 100% of those costs, you shouldn't be doing this thing at all with Excel. Thank you.
Bonnie is next, to be followed by Kevin. What's that? Conrad? Oh, that was.
I'm giving my time to John.
I'm sorry?
It's going to take an hour. I'm giving it to John. Go ahead, John.
I didn't hear her.
She's deferring to a different speaker.
Okay, that's fine. If you can please state your name and where you live.
I'm John Van Dyke. I'm chairman of the town of Aaron Prairie, have been for 24 years. As has been stated, Aaron Prairie is prime farmland. We've known that for years. It should remain. We are in farmland preservation. That's an agreement that the town, the county, and the state made. We should keep that intact. Our comprehensive plan stated that Aaron Prairie is agricultural. We want it to remain that way. We expect people to honor that. Farmers have a nutrient management plan that tells us where we get haul manure and what rotations we need to do. If you look at where these solar fields are going to be, it is from 190th Street to 150th Street. We call that our tornado alley. We've had 2 tornadoes there, mild tornadoes, in 4 years. When we had the major hail, it was right there. And it was 3 miles wide and went all the way north to New Richmond. Now in July, we had a major windstorm. All of the county had that. But we're not looking at all the risks. We still have erosion problems. When you got 4-foot panels dropping all the water on one spot, it's going to erode into our subsoil, into this karst. Then we talked about fire. There's just a lot of reasons it shouldn't be. Think of the storms that we've had. It's going to shatter this solar panels. Where are they going to blow to? They're going to blow into corn and soybean fields. And when farmers take that to sell, if there's foreign matter in there, which plastic will be, it's rejected. Because a lot of our food, or a lot of our corn, soybeans end up in the food chain. If you look at the news, if there's something wrong with the food, it's metal or plastic, and it's rejected. They're going to have a hard time selling that. The plastic in hay is going to be baled up. Cattle will eat it. I worked for the University of Wisconsin as a dairy livestock specialist back in the 70s. Metal hardware was a major problem. That got corrected because the choppers now have magnets in it to detect metal. They do not have plastic detectors. It will kill cattle. You've made the right decisions on other things. You shut down the incinerator when it couldn't meet emissions. You didn't vote for the manure digester, which is the right decision. You don't haul manure up and down every road in St. Croix County. It should be at the farm that it's produced. So you made the right decision. And when somebody tells me, and I've heard this numerous times, there's nothing you can do about it, well, then it's too late. That's a defeatist attitude. If our kids or grandkids go into a sport thinking they can't win, guess what? They've lost before they stepped out there. Fight this thing. This electricity is going to Minnesota to replace a coal plant. It is not for us. St. Croix Electric buys power from Dairyland. They don't need XL power. A lot of the county doesn't use XL power. It's mainly going to Minnesota. We knew they were going to come to Aaron Prairie because they wanted large fields, level, 5 to 10% slope. And so where do you come? You aren't going to go to the hilly towns or rocky or wet or trees. They're going to go to big flat fields. But how do you control that if it starts a fire? Solar panels are still plastic, and they're loaded with chemicals. We had years ago, most of you don't remember, we had that tire fire in Somerset. It burned for 10 days. Most of us don't remember the New Richmond landfill. Thank you. The Richmond landfill. That was 1980. We're still paying. I just got a bill for the town for 2 test wells because the DNR won't shut them off. We had 12 test wells. We had to bring water to drink, charcoal filters, and drive in water lines to those 14 houses. We spent $18 million the last 30 years. Our neighbors to the west, 150th Street, that's Richmond. There's 70 houses there. We have solar, you have solar plans, or Excel has solar plans right up to 150th Street. If this karst erodes and has permeates easily, that water is going to go right there. Our water goes west.
Please wrap it up, please.
Thank you.
I just want to leave this. This doesn't leave the.
Okay, Kevin Conrad, followed by Jan Weinke.
Hi, I'm Kevin Conrad. I live in Aaron Prairie. I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm an agricultural consultant. I have all 50 states and international. And you might know some of the names I give you tonight. Hammerback is an attorney used to be an attorney in River Falls. I used to do some work for him on straight voltage. I've worked on straight voltages in all 50 states and international. You get it, you're gonna have it on these solar panels. There's no way you can stop it. And one of the issues right now is Excel is in litigation with what they did down in the panhandle of Texas. That was a straight voltage, which caused 1 million acres of burning. They still haven't settled all those claims that they have on that particular issue down there in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. So it's a real thing. It's not fabricated. If you go on the internet, you'll see how many cases Excel is fighting with regards to straight voltage. That's all I have to say. And if you do go to court, guess who's going to be their expert? I'm just letting you know that.
Okay, Jan Weinke, followed by Laura Conrad. And Jan must be upstairs, possibly. Let's go ahead with Laura Conrad if she happens to be in the room.
Hi, my name is Laura Connard, and I'm a resident of Aaron Prairie Township. And I live with a brain injury, and I have emotional dysregulation because of it. And I requested an ADA accommodation because I anticipated tearing up and having emotions because of this. It wasn't really granted, so I'm here, and I'm sorry. I know men, especially men, hate seeing women cry, so I hope you can get through this with me. I hope you will vote no on the joint development agreement with Excel and vote to formally intervene at the Public Service Commission. You're here to help protect the people, the health and safety wellness of us. And I'm here for disabled people tonight. I don't know if you watched the video that was sent to you today, but it showed the pounding and the noise that you heard in the Range project. That's just north of Amory, just north of where we live. It's unbearable. If the stress and the nerves of me having to make this presentation does this to me, tell me what pounding 24/7 for many, many days during this whole construction project is going to happen. I'm a half a mile south of the proposed fields. It's surrounding our farm on all sides. I don't see anything in the joint development agreement for good neighbor agreements to protect people like me, as well as people who live with PTSD, ADHD, autism, Asperger's. A wide variety of people live with invisible injuries, and we have extreme sensitivities to noise problems, to the glare that's going to come off these solar panels. No one has spoke up for us. No one has talked about this. I don't think it's been thought about. I hope you guys will think about it as you make your decisions tonight and going forward. I talked about this in the committee meeting. Look on the wall, look at the vision, look at the mission of what you guys are here to do. Strengthen our future, providing health, safety, and well-being for all. Take care of the people and the environment. I also want you to know that when people live with disabilities, when there's problems with us, it doesn't just affect us. It affects our caregivers. When we have bad days, our caregivers suffers, our families suffer, our medical providers suffered. If the disabled person is a student, the teachers and staff at the school suffer. Other students suffer. Also, behaviors increase, crimes increase. So anyone that sat through the committee of the whole and listened to the problems that the Sheriff's Department talked about with their special needs populations, those with mental health problems and physical problems, the extra cost to house them, you're already struggling with. And if you let this problem that goes in, the construction noise, the glare, the hum, the ever-present hum that comes from these large-scale industrial complexes, it will force people out of their homes, or it will drive them crazy and they will have to lose. Most importantly for you, as you're talking about the cost of intervening, contemplate the costs of the public nuisance claims that will come with this. If this project comes here, there will be claims. People, if they're displaced temporarily or permanently from their space, just as the landowners have a right to do what they want with their land within the law, those of us who live here, we have a right to use and enjoyment of our property. And if you vote yes and allow this thing to come, it will greatly impact us. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go back to Jan Weinke, if Jan is still with us. Okay, we're going to move on to Sherry Croft. Or how about Heather Bruner? There we go.
They are here. They're probably upstairs. Hi, my name is Heather Bruner, and I live 3 miles east of New Richmond in Erin Prairie Township. I'm here tonight to beg and to ask you to please listen. Please make the choice to not allow Excel to hand you a crappy JDA that will give St. Croix County very little. If they want solar, it can be built in Minnesota. It's not our deal. I ask you to please intervene at the PSC and work hard to help the residents of St. Croix County preserve what farmland is left so that it can be enjoyed for many generations to come. After our storm on Monday night, I ran to town Tuesday morning to get water and fuel for generators. I couldn't believe what a mess New Richmond was. What I did notice, I turned around, drove back. The BB Loft Apartments, all of their solar panels had been destroyed and thrown off the roof or hanging off the roof in front of the homeowner or the renter's windows. I stopped, I took pictures, and I believe those pictures were submitted to you guys. The bank parking lot and their parking lot had glass and chemicals leaking from those solar panels. A few days have passed now, almost a week. Excuse me, I lost my place. They were leaking everywhere. A few days went by, and I decided to call the owner of the apartments. I asked what he plans to do with those panels. I played dumb. I said I had a few panels that were on my home and they got broken during the storm. That is not true, but I asked. I was wondering where we could recycle them. He told me there's no such thing. They're not recyclable, they're hazardous material, and his insurance company doesn't at this time know what to do with them. He said they will lay there until his insurance figures it out. It's not his problem. As of this afternoon, 1 week later, they're still laying on the ground, now in a big stack. So now imagine we have over 5,000 acres of these and something happens. Where are we going to dispose of the garbage? It's hazardous material. It must be disposed of correctly, and at this time, I don't believe there is a place for that. I ask that each and every one of you take the time to seriously consider what is at stake and make the decision to protect and preserve what little land we have left before it is all too late. If this was such a great green energy, why wouldn't Excel want it in their own state? Why are they shoving it down our throats? They don't want the danger, they don't want the eyesore, so they shove it across the river. I ask again, is Excel in this room tonight? Probably not. Are the landowners who signed their land and believe it's such a great deal in the room? Probably not. Of course they're not. They're hiding. I have to say, I am tired. I'm completely emotionally and physically drained, just as the people sitting behind me are. I am sorry, but we choose you to protect us, guide us, and I ask that you please do so, and to intervene at the PSC and say that you will at least try to stop this from destroying what we call home. Thank you for your time.
Sherry Croft. I'll be followed by David Meyer.
Thank you for allowing me to have this chance to speak. My name is Sherry Croft. I've lived in Hudson Township for the past 30 years. I intended to build my forever home in Hammond Township, but that plan has halted because of the solar project. I have the same concerns as everybody else that has spoken. My home state is New Jersey. Jersey was known as the Garden State. I've seen some devastation. Not only did it have lots of agriculture, it was clean. Clean water, clean air, no toxic waste dumps. But you might refer it to now as the armpit of the nation. It takes a brunt end of jokes and ridicule. Now, I'd hate to see St. Croix County or the state of Wisconsin be the brunt of jokes and ridicule. Take it to heart. This could happen to you guys. I don't think you'd like it. I've chosen to live here because of the cleanliness, and the people are quite nice. But nice people don't come by happenstance. The environmental stewardship that you have provided, they have provided, past generations have provided, has a lot to do with the attitude of residents. And I give my hat off to all of you. Now, when reading Excel's proposal, or the JDA, I came across a little section that said that the education to the school children is going to be partially funded by Excel. Somebody spoke that Excel has arrogance. Learn by history. Think about 100 years ago in Germany. The far-right party used public schools to educate their children. Learn from history. Big business propaganda does not belong in any school system. We need to educate the children in a proper manner and protect them along the way. Please vote accordingly. My idea, formal intervention. We all appreciate living here in a fairly healthy, safe environment. Please help keep it that way. Thank you.
And David Meyer, we've reached an hour, so David will be our last public speaker. David, unless you'd like to cede to someone else.
I'm going to defer my time to Carrie Willoughby.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, go right ahead. And you are?
Carrie Willoughby from Baldwin.
Carrie Willoughby.
And hopefully you all got my email with a lot of the karst information and the diagram, and I brought the diagram so you can view it if you'd like to, for those of you who maybe didn't see us at the county fair. I'll try to be quick. As noted on the county website, karst soil conditions are present under most of St. Croix County, and that's evident in the pictures that we showed you in those packets. A key element of concern for the solar project with karst is that the excavating for or drilling of posts can disrupt and damage the fragile natural water filtration system. The problem when this occurs is that there is little natural filtering of that water when the natural system is disrupted, putting our groundwater quality at risk from surface contaminants. The limestone fissures and voids are fragile. With karst, you can drive some posts or excavate or grade the ground, and the neighboring properties can experience issues even though the posts or excavating is not on the neighboring land directly. The depth where the voids or fissures are sitting vary greatly, creating a greater chance for unforeseen disruption. You can have a void 2 feet deep below the surface in one spot and walk 15 feet in any direction, and a void can be sitting at 6 to 8 feet or deeper. This makes karst one of the most predictably unpredictable soil types for development, both on a local site and over a broader development. When we are looking at 8 to 10 million posts being driven or drilled into the ground over 5,000 acres, there is no way to map out all the underlying variations and voids to address them properly. St. Croix County has a mixture of karst levels. It will be very hard for Excel to know where those areas are exactly, as even these features can change over time with natural erosion. The karst map may not accurately reflect what is going on today under the surface, let alone all the local variations and voids within those zones. Thus, Excel cannot possibly or realistically assure the county and residents that they can protect our groundwater under these circumstances and are unlikely to make the effort necessary to try to. Crops may only need a few feet of soil to grow. However, we know that from what Excel has told us, that they will be driving the pylons or pipes for the solar project around 8 feet deep to provide stable support. It is unfeasible to put 8 feet deep pipes with this much rock on or near the surface. Cost effectively, Excel cannot drill or drive this many pipes into rock. We have a good example from the Apple River Solar Project in Range, Wisconsin. Out of 52,000 pipes that the solar company tried to drive, 20% wouldn't drive in deep enough to provide stable supports as they hit rock. And clearly that shows they didn't do the studies that would have given them that information. The scope of this project will inevitably put our delicate subsoils and thus our groundwater quality at risk with no way to reverse the consequences. The risk and cost of this result is too high and will hurt all of us in St. Croix County. Please vote no on the JDA and help us to fight to keep our county safe. And I will add one more thing, just so you know, where the battery storage site is, the next parcel over had a huge sinkhole. And that's something we need to consider when we're looking at the voids with karst soil. Thank you.
Thank you, and my apologies to a handful of people who did not have the opportunity to speak tonight. I would certainly encourage you to please email us, and so you have the opportunity to provide your feedback. I think it's really important that we hear from you. Okay, we're going to move on our agenda to the consent agenda. Can I make one comment? I'm sorry, where public comment is done. I'm sorry.
So we asked to make a presentation. We were told we couldn't be put on the agenda and that we would be given public comment to make our comment. And now I just want the public record to show you've limited that time and removed a large portion of what we wanted to share with the county before the decision.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Supervisor Rice?
To approve?
And second by Supervisor Leaf. We're ready to vote on the consent agenda. Oh, shoot.
Way to go, first vote. Quick step.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our county administrator's report.
Thank you, Chair Long. Just a couple of things from the report that I wanted to highlight. Mostly around personnel. We had our Employee of the Year, Amy Romhild. She has nothing to do with solar panels. She works with the ADR Transportation. And she's very passionate about her job and the clientele that she serves. And so she was nominated by her peers and won Employee of the Year this year. I also wanted to congratulate Joseph Kormanek on his promotion to jail captain. He was promoted from within, which led to a whole series of promotions within the department. And then lastly, just a special congratulations to our Community Development Director, Jason Cheesit. He was able to fix a project. The gate wasn't working at the dam, so we'd budgeted $50,000. He got a bid for $170,000. So he gave it one more try with a can of lubricant and was able to turn the existing gears. And so that's it, it's fixed. Yeah, so no, he might be the next Employee of the Year. So those are the things that I wanted to point out. If there's any other questions on anything else in my report, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Ken? Okay, any questions? We're going to move on to our business items. Oops. And I'd like to make some just some preliminary comments, if I may, particularly regarding the first two items on our business agenda, which is obviously what we have most interest in. So I'd like to, just a little history of how we arrived at the first two items, and these would be discontinuing negotiations with Xcel Energy on the Joint Development Agreement, or JDA, for the 10 Mile Creek Solar Project. And the second item is consideration of preparing to become an intervener in the project once it's been submitted to the Public Service Commission, or PSC. So if you remember, this process all started last January, and since then we've had various presentations of the board. We had an opportunity to visit a solar farm in Minnesota, but that didn't work out so well, unfortunately. And of course, the Community Development Committee has done a lot of work on this project, and it's important to recognize that. Their efforts culminated in their meeting 2 weeks ago in July with the proposal that now make up items 1 and 2 of our agenda, and that is stopping negotiations with Xcel Energy on the JDA and also preparing to become an intervener before the PSC. And as you requested, I did participate recently in the most recent negotiations or meetings with Xcel Energy. It was very enlightening, so I thought I would at least try to provide some perspective to you prior to jumping into the business items. So I guess as I listened to Xcel and our discussions back and forth, I really came to the idea that I really have to look at this on a long-term basis. Okay, and what I mean by that is, how do we best position ourselves to speak with the PSC? How do we best position ourselves to really be able to relay our concerns about this project? And I came to the conclusion that really the best way is to bolster our credibility. because we're never going to get anywhere with the PSC unless we have credibility. And that credibility really comes with making sure that we're doing our homework and making sure that we're properly doing our due diligence, as we're obligated to as a board. So one thing that I realized was missing in doing our due diligence was getting feedback from the local towns that are affected, or even the surrounding towns. I really believe it's critical that we have the opportunity to sit down with them and their local elected leaders, make sure that they are part of the conversation. They're part of this thing, and we need to talk to them. We need to get their feedback to make sure that we're all on the same page going forward. The other thing that I had talked to Corporation Counsel about is maybe there's possibilities that there are, as far as being an intervener, maybe there's variations on that theme that we maybe should consider, whether it be actual being an intervener, or maybe there are other opportunities or alternatives to make sure that we have that opportunity to present our concerns and discuss and negotiate with the PSC. And of course, there's really no harm in taking a final shot. I know I probably shouldn't use that word, but final opportunity to sit down with Excel and say, you know, we've heard all these legitimate concerns from the public. We need to go back to them and say, here are the things that are missing in the JDA, which was just a draft. And these are the things that we really seriously want to have included in the JDA. So this is really all about doing our due diligence and building our own credibility. What I don't want to have happen is go in front of the PSC and then they ask, well, did you get feedback from the towns? And we're going to go, no. Or have you talked to Excel and told them all your concerns and all the things that you wanted to get into that JDA? And we're going to sit there and say, no. That it completely destroys our credibility. So, yeah, we need a seat at the table, however that works out. So I just got a couple of questions that you can ask yourselves before you get into the discussion on these two business items. How much do you really value getting input from the towns? How much do you value taking the time to become more educated on what the possibilities and options are in terms of presenting our concerns to the PSC? And lastly, how important is it to you that we're sure that we're taking the time necessary to do our due diligence? All right, which is really another way of saying, what's the rush? Let's make sure that we're checking the boxes and that we're doing our homework, and we know that we're all together and on the same page moving forward. So with that, we're going to turn to our business agenda item number 1, which is consideration of discontinuing negotiations with Xcel Energy on a joint development agreement for the 10 Mile Creek Solar Project. And I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Supervisor Fiedler.
As you stated, items 1 and 2 deal with basically the same issue. They're very complex, as we've heard today, and only recently did we see the JDA and the Community Development Committee completed its exceptional work in preparation for this meeting. We've heard a really extraordinary comment tonight from the public on a variety of issues. Your comments
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Very thoughtful. And with that, to provide an adequate time for consideration of these issues, I move that items 1 and 2 be postponed for further consideration until the October meeting of the board, which is scheduled for October 7th.
Is there a second by Supervisor Rice?
I'll second that.
Discussion. Supervisor Rice.
I've spent a lot of time on this over the last week or two since our CDC committee meeting. And I feel as though we all need more education on exactly what our role is. You know, when I look at here, get a little closer. When I look at it, I just did a little searching on exactly what authority we have over the Public Utility Commission, and simple search is not much. There are a lot of things that happen here at the state level over which we simply have no jurisdiction. It is everything from the Ethics Commission, for example. We might have an opinion and we might want to voice it, but it's completely different than to say we have jurisdiction over it. Wisconsin Waterways, Elections Commission, Payroll Commission, a lot of these are set up separately to be separate and apart from a normal political process. So I want to make sure that we all know what our role is. And further, I like to see kind of costs and benefits for the JDA option, which is still in the early phase. As someone said, you don't ask, you don't get. And also what the cost and process would be for acting as an intervener. It feels to me like it's being rushed and premature. And I want to make sure we have a fulsome option to present to the many people here who have comments so that we're doing our adequate due diligence in any decision. So.
Other comments? Supervisor?
Yeah, I also, lots of questions. I think we need to do more education. I don't understand what voice that we do have with the PSC. How much can we talk to the PSC to protect our rights? I have no idea. When's the drop dead day where we have to, by this date, have to approve a JDA or not? How much time do we have? I really don't have a good idea of that. Also, what will intervention cost? I don't know. I like the idea input from towns. Representative Krybeck brought up 2 reports that we know nothing about. So we need to educate ourselves on that, see if we can use that, if we want to be an intervener, how that helps us or not. And those questions should also, or those answers should also go to the various towns involved. So they know and they can make a good decision and we can all work together. So that's the information I'd like to have before I vote one way or the other on. Right now, I'm a no on a JDA because I believe there's just too much damage. If we disagree to it, it's going to happen. If we don't agree with it, if we do intervene and do a GDA, it might still happen, but it might not. So at least we still have a chance and we can work on it.
Other comments? Supervisor Shirley.
A lot to unpack there, but let's start with the local municipalities. We've talked about this in committee. We've, I think, intentionally waited until we had a decision on whether we were going to go with a JDA or not before we talked to them. I've talked to the town chairs. I know how they stand. They're looking for us to lead the way. They don't have the money. They don't have the resources that we do, and they don't think that they're going to be heard as well at the PSC as we will. So that is their stance on that in that area. So yes, before we go to the PSC, we will talk to them. We will have a conversation with them. We've always planned on doing that. As far as waiting until October, we have no idea when they're going to submit to the PSC. They've said by the end of the year. The maps have been out for more than 30 days. They could submit tomorrow if they wanted to. Are they ready? Probably not, but how do we know? As soon as they submit, our ability to do a JDA is out the window. That doesn't really bother me because I don't think the JDA is the right avenue for us anyway. But I think there's a lot to talk about with this solar project on 1 and 2. I would, in the mindset of talking about what the motion actually is with putting it back to October or not. I'll save my comments till later, but I would urge the rest of you to vote no to that amendment or that motion, and that we talk about business items 1 and 2 now. I think it's very important to do that. I think that it's a misconception by a lot of people in and out of this room that we've just started our negotiations with Excel. We've had a lot of negotiations with Excel. We've met with them 5-6 times or more. They've backpedaled on different agreements that they've had before. They've come back and forth. So to say that we're going to continue negotiations and we're going to get something better, I don't think that we are. Everything that is in that JDA right now is not any better than we would get at Public Service Commission. If you pull the reports from Public Service Commission and you see what they've done, everything that's in there is a minimum of what the Public Service Commission would get you, other than the community grant. And if Xcel Energy is going to pull a community grant away from the community, if the Public Service Commission lets them go forward, what does that say about Xcel Energy? $50,000 a year, pulling in a community grant because we didn't sign a JDA? I don't think so. So I will save my other comments till later, but please consider business items 1 and 2 here and vote no against delay.
Other comments, discussion? Please, no applause. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have something.
Supervisor Burning.
Yeah, thank you very much. So my question is simply on this particular motion, how many meetings have the team that's negotiated on our behalf had with Xcel up to this point?
5 to 6.
Okay, and as far as our input as a board of directors, the 19 of us minus the one who's been absent for some time, we have not, we're dealing with contract negotiations between us and a private entity, yet we haven't had one single closed session to talk between all of us. I think that if this motion does pass, then we need to consider getting a closed session on the books as quickly as possible, so that we as supervisors can hash out things in a closed setting for contract negotiations, which is permitted by state statute. The fact that we're 5 or 6 meetings in and us as supervisors have not had any input except for what we've had to say publicly, I think that is a disservice to my neighbors. And I just wanted to get that out there. And if this passes, which obviously I'm going to vote no on this motion.
Other discussion, comments? Supervisor Barkalow.
I mean, it seems like 2 of the most important town presidents were here tonight expressing their opinion on that this would be detrimental to the environment, to homes in the area, to farmland, et cetera, et cetera. I think we need to be an intervener with the PSC instead of trying to negotiate this JDA. I don't see any benefit for us to try to dance with the devil on this one. So,
other comments? Supervisor Lind.
We talk about our credibility and wanting to present a positive face and to have our credibility look strong and like we're in it. Xcel has already shown us theirs. The credibility of abandoning every meeting that they have set up, they've already showed us their hand. You look at the top, the market investment and who actually pays in to have the stocks in Xcel. Vanguard and BlackRock. I have concerns. Huge. They are very pro-green. Unfortunately, they have an initiative against coal, and they are driving it. And I think that we do need more time, but we cannot delay this vote. So, no to the delay.
Supervisor Van Summeren.
I concur pretty much with what has been said. I think putting it off 2 months is too long. I do agree that we need to speak more. I agree with Supervisor Burning too, that we, even though some of us have had more input than others, I think we should have a closed session to talk more about it. But I think that has to happen very, very quickly. I'm not sure if it makes a difference if we agree to the joint development agreement or disagree. I think that the people have spoken, and we had some good response tonight from people who think that we should keep the JDA, keep working on that. But I'm certain that all of you have gotten the same emails that I've gotten that show 5,000 plus names of people who say, no, this shouldn't happen. And these are the people who are speaking. And I think, Chairman Long, you mentioned that in your first comment, and I agree with what you said too. But these are the people who have put us here, and they expect us to do what is right for them. And I think if we look at the numbers, then we have to say, no, let's jettison the joint development agreement. Let's grit our teeth and go on to be an intervener. That's my opinion.
Supervisor Telejohn.
I don't like the draft JDA, but I don't think we should give up our negotiations and asking for another. Again, I don't know what's happened in the past either with these 5 or 6 meetings. So I don't know what's been asked and what hasn't been asked, but I think we should keep negotiating and before we become an intervener. I have a problem with those 5,000 names when there's names from New York and Minneapolis and so forth on there. So I don't believe there's 5,000 names that are legitimate for this petition. But I believe we should do something quickly and not wait till October either.
Other comments, discussion? Supervisor Counter.
Well, again, as we listened, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. As we were listening to a lot of the things, there's a lot of items that were never addressed in the joint developers agreement for dealing with some of the fire suppression, specialized training for fire responders and emergency services. We have not really been made exactly aware of what the tax implications are if this land is converted over. Maybe there was something here that I just missed. We also haven't discussed some of the other issues, like during the construction process, the noise of construction and limiting the hours of operation so that they aren't running a 24-hour installation where people don't have any rest. Other things that, were discussed, we have a lot of concerns over the karst soils. Have there been any soil boring analysis that has been done on these properties to give us a better knowledge base as far as what is the subsurface there? How deep is it before you hit the bedrock layers, and what that impact would be? We haven't acquired knowledge from any of the university specialists that may be able to do input to help us make a more educated decision. There's lots of reports from the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, in their hydrology department. The DNR in Minnesota is considerably further ahead dealing with a lot of these things with doing actual sinkhole testing with dyes to check flow ratios and they seem to have a lot bigger knowledge base for some of this stuff that would be helpful to understand what the potential damages could be. I'm not saying that there's going to be damages, but we need to know the background to ensure that it's not. Because if something happens, it becomes cost prohibitive for us. And, you know, as being a member also that being on the town board in the town of Star Prairie for 14 years, I dealt with my entire career on that town board dealing with the New Richmond landfill. And watching as all of the big players that were corporate players were able to buy their way out and leave everything to the local municipalities for perpetuity. These are concerns that I have, that I don't want this borne upon our county, on the townships, on the city, whoever may become impacted by this for the future. So with this, I think I agree with what the chairman is saying, because if we didn't follow through with this development agreement, I think we do need to have a joint meeting, and as soon as possible, with the two towns that have direct impact and potentially the areas of watershed, water flow where things are coming from, that they're also made aware and are privy to be invited to that special meeting. I'm not sure if Tim Stieber is available, not tonight. So he would be probably one that might be able to give us some definite water flow evaluations. But with that in mind, I guess I would make the motion then to table these two items. Oh, there is a motion. Okay, I'll wait then. But anyway, that's where I'm at with it. Thank you.
Yes, Supervisor Leaf.
Mr. Chair?
Supervisor Leaf, go ahead.
Well, to piggyback off of what Supervisor Counter was saying is if it is postponed, or whatever the wording was that this motion has, because I've lost track, what would that look like in terms of learning more information and educating ourselves? And also another question is the 5 or 6 meetings that you've had with Excel, who has been involved? I mean, who's been involved? And is it typical for us? I know this is kind of an extraordinary project that we haven't seen before, but when we have contractual things like this with another entity, how do those negotiations typically go? So I guess 2 parts.
So those negotiations, it was myself, the county administrator, corporation counsel, and Jason from community development. The last 2, we brought in the county board chair as we got further along and had developed the framework for what it was going to look like. The other thing, I guess, that I would point out then of what we would do over the next 2 months if you requested more time, we would try to schedule with the townships as quickly as possible, a joint meeting with them so we could talk about what the issues are. And I think we're at the point now where we would have the county board negotiating directly with Xcel Energy. So we would invite Xcel Energy in. It would not be a closed session. There's enough case law that says when a municipality is negotiating with a developer, the public gets to sit and watch it. So you wouldn't be able to do that in a closed session. The public has to have the chance to see your position on it. So as unpleasant as that might be for the elected officials or for Xcel Energy, that would be the process that would be used.
That's good. Thanks.
Supervisor Burning, did you have a comment? I thought I heard you.
Yeah, I do. So, yep, I do. Thank you. And I know there's probably a little bit of a delay from where I'm at. So thank you for your accommodation. So there's a couple things. One, we're 5 or 6 meetings in. We're talking about case law. But here's the thing. Xcel Energy's team gets to sit behind closed doors as a publicly regulated monopoly and talk about strategy. And we have to, like, that doesn't make sense to me. And I'd like Corporation Counsel to weigh in on this and find out if this is the case. We're talking about two basically public entities at this point that are going to be in negotiations for terms. When we go to negotiate for that, shouldn't our board of directors, being our county board of supervisors, have a chance to discuss strategy and things that we want to use as negotiating tactics, not having to be in the public light for Xcel to be able to see and take back to their private offices with their private counsel? If you could weigh on in that, and then I have a couple other items I want to address on this motion.
Yes, so the statute, specifically Wisconsin statute 19.85, does have exceptions for county boards to go into closed session. And so the two that we would be looking at is 1E, which is deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business. And so that's very specific of when you can go into closed session to negotiate bargaining reasons or negotiations for those particular items, which are not this agreement with Xcel Energy. The other exception is conferring with legal counsel for the government body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. And so if we were likely to become involved in litigation, meaning intervening in the PSC, that may be a reason to go into closed session. There was a recent Court of Appeals case in February of this year whereby the Court of Appeals found that a city had violated open meetings laws by going into closed sessions several times to discuss a contract or a development agreement for PFAS storage. And so that is the case law Administrator Witt was referring to, that recently an entity was found in violation of open meetings laws for negotiating in closed session a development agreement. So that is why we would advise against that and would recommend that those negotiations be done in open session with Xcel Energy present.
Does that answer your question, Supervisor Burning?
Sorry, my laptop died. I don't know why. I think it might be a battery or power issue that I don't have access to. But anyway, so the other thing I want to just point that if this motion passes, then we really need to consider putting someone more or less who's a dog on the team in the negotiations. I just, since we can't go into closed session, I'm going to talk about this right now. I feel like we just don't have somebody that has the opposing view to what Corp Counsel, the administrator, and the chair have all said, which is we should go for a joint development agreement. You need someone in that room with the jaded point of view that's opposite of those three individuals, that's there to look at the alternatives that have been pointed out over time. And I'm not saying you guys are doing a bad job on behalf of the people. What I'm saying is we need to put a dog in the room, and I'm not saying it's me, but I'm saying you need someone in there that can encourage us to walk away if need be, because you need to be able to do that when you are negotiating with anybody. And I'm done.
Other comments? Supervisor Shirley?
I'm sorry if this comes out wrong, but I've done hours and hours of research on this subject. I've spent time on meetings and panel discussions and whatnot. The people in our crowd have spent hours and hours researching this stuff too. And this current motion is saying, I'm sorry if this comes bad, but you're saying that because you guys didn't take the time to learn this stuff, that we're not going to do it now. And I think that says a really bad thing.
Please, no applause, please. Let's be respectful. Supervisor Rice.
As someone on the Community Development Committee, I feel as though I have not been fully informed. I mean, Jason's good about monthly coming up and giving us a status report, but until we got the draft of the JDA, I didn't feel like I was close to this. And I have a laundry list of things I would add to it to respond to some of the things people have said here. But the greatest concern I have is that there's this either-or mentality we're taking. It's sort of like either we do the joint development agreement, which, by the way, is a binding contract. We can define what that means, or we'd act as an intervener. The two are not necessarily mutually exclusive. Now, Excel might walk away if we get too testy on the intervener role, but you know, I know it's laid out on the PSC's roadmap of how we go about things. I just don't want to sit here 18 months from now when all of this is probably done. Excel says they're going to file by the end of the year. Let's say it takes 12 to 18 months when a decision is made. I don't want to have us sit here and say, gee, we should have done the JDA. We could have gotten more for our people. You know, I look at things like that future fire or battery storage system as a reason why we should be negotiating to be part two of any subsequent developments that might come about, other landowners coming forward, but also to have specific fire suppression in that area that, you know, perhaps people in this part of the county can get something they wouldn't otherwise. But yeah, the looking I've done, it seems like we have limited options to stop the project if that's what people think we can do. So I think huddling for a while and making sure we're level setting on exactly what knowledge we have in front of us. Today was the first time I heard Rep. Kryback's talking about an agricultural report. I'd like to see that. I did drive the property yesterday and saw how heavily ag it is. And I want to make sure we all are fully informed before we make a decision that we might regret one way or the other. So.
Any other comment? Supervisor Carlson.
I suspect we're just wasting our time trying to do a JDA. They don't need it. Everybody thinks that this is a done deal no matter what we do. I don't think we're going to get anything from a JDA with them. They canceled our trip with them. They haven't had community meetings. I would think that if they were serious about listening to us, they would have somebody here at this, knowing all the uproar about it. I don't trust Excel cares about our interests. They're just going to go to the PSC and get their permit. And it doesn't matter what we do. The best we can probably get is what PSC, if they'll listen to us, will restrict on them if we can't get them to cancel the whole thing. But I think we should just not accept it as a JDA and be an intervener.
Any final comments? Supervisor Lind.
If Excel thought anything about we think, they would have done a 99 megawatt and let us have a voice at the table. By going 100, they already went over us anyway, knowing that they would leave the county out of it. So I just think that the JDA is, after 6 meetings, that was what they came back with. They didn't listen.
Okay, I want to be very clear on this motion. This is not a vote on accepting or rejecting a joint development agreement. It's not a vote on yay or nay with regard to becoming an intervener. It's simply a motion to delay the decision to give us a little more time. That's basically what the motion means. I want to make that very clear.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just to repeat, the exact words of the motion were, I move that items 1 and 2 be postponed for further consideration until the October meeting of the board, which is October 7. So again, the chairman was correct in his description of the motion. This is not a vote on the merits. It's simply a vote to give us more time to consider all the issues that have been brought to our attention.
So we're not voting on either of these issues. We're voting on simply the merits of the decision to delay or postpone simply to give us more time to consider That's the motion on the floor. I'm sorry, please, there are no comments from the public right now. No, I'm sorry, there's not, no, I'm sorry, please, please. Supervisor Teller?
Just clarification then, we're not going to vote yea or nay on a JDA tonight if this goes through.
Okay, good clarification. If the motion passes, the first two business items regarding the JDA and becoming an intervener will be postponed until we give us a little more time to consider the merits of each. If the motion does not pass, then we will consider number one and number two on their own merits.
So if this does pass, who's going to do what next?
Well, I think what we've talked about is making sure that we're getting input from the towns.
Who's we?
We?
Is it 3, 4 people, or is it the county board?
Well, we can choose to do what we think is most appropriate. We can do the county board. We can all meet with the town representatives. We can all sit down and have a working session to hammer out all the things that we think should be in a JDA. We have that opportunity. So we can all do it together.
Okay.
Supervisor Leaf.
I think I heard some folks saying that there was a point of order, but there was a motion by Supervisor Fiedler and there was a second, so it is on the floor properly.
That's correct. And the motion again is just to postpone, to give us more time to work out some of these details on whether or not, how we want to go forward. Okay, no other comments? Let's go ahead and vote. That motion passes 9-8. So we have our work cut out for us. Oh, sorry.
Just wait, there's
No, how, I don't, no, it says he's joined. That means he's on. It says he joined.
Is there a discussion happening and I'm just not hearing it, or?
We are trying to figure out if Paul Adams is on the meeting because it says he voted, so we're just trying to ensure that the vote is accurate.
Yes. Well, it's a determination by you whether, I can say it out loud. So Paul Adams had voted, so Paul Adams had not joined the meeting. So he had logged into our online system, the portal that the votes take place, and he recorded a vote. So I'm asking the chair whether he's at the meeting or he's not at the meeting.
He had sent me an email and he said, I've requested Link to join the meeting as a board member to be allowed to vote, so he is on. He sent me an email. So he's joined with his laptop, he must be watching remotely.
So that was the.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that was number 17. So it was 9-8.
It was 9-8. He was a yes vote. So the question is his vote a legitimate vote by our board rules or not?
By our board rules, that would be.
So he's not in the Teams meeting though. He's not on the screen. He's not able to participate in discussion because he's not physically visible to us or able to ask questions or participate in the discussion. He can watch it, just like any citizen can watch it, and he can log into the system and vote. So it's a determination by you of whether that counts as participation or does not count.
I would think if he's able to log in and vote, that would seem to be acceptable.
That's your own.
Supervisor Adams?
I think that's correct.
Yep. Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I don't. Mr. Chair, since we have Supervisor Adams on the phone, can we confirm that that's what his vote meant, since we're talking about a delay versus the... No, he's not on the phone.
Point of inquiry for Corporation Counsel. Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Adams, I have you on speakerphone. So we just wanted to clarify that you understood that the motion was to postpone the items until the October meeting.
That's affirmed, yes.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a good day.
All right, bye.
I still have a point of inquiry.
Go ahead, Supervisor Burning.
Thank you. What do our board rules say? And this is directed at Corporation Counsel. What do our board rules say about those that are participating remotely?
Yes, Article 3, Section A7 does allow for virtual attendance, and it indicates that supervisors appearing virtually are deemed physically present for all purposes, which includes the right to vote.
Okay.
So that vote, that motion passed 9-8. So we will continue to work on this, and we can decide as a board how we want to approach this, and we can keep this project moving. There's even a possibility that we can get through and get done what we need to vote for September. And that would be a good goal to work towards, so that we don't delay it any longer than we have to. That's certainly not my intention whatsoever.
Could we do a recess?
What?
Recess before we move on to items?
Yes. Okay, we're through business items 1 and 2. Before we go to number 3, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break.
Okay, guys, just so you know, I'm hopping off for the rest of the meeting and rejoining my family. Have a great night, everyone.
Yeah. Hey, John.
John.
All right, let's get back in the saddle here and get going on our the balance of our agenda. Okay, number 3, resolution establishing the library levy for 2026 budget. Shouldn't be quite as contentious. Do we have a motion? Supervisor Anderson to approve.
To approve
Supervisor
the
Leaf,
library
second.
levy, yep.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Supervisor Leaf, yeah. Okay, I'm assuming you've reviewed it. Any discussion on the library levy?
It's fairly standard. I just want to make sure that you know it's 100% funding. It is up about 10% over last year total dollar-wise, just because library expenses are continuing to increase. I don't think it's really a volume issue so much as it's the costs of circulations that are increasing. But it's 100% funding for in-county and out-of-county, which the libraries really appreciate.
Any questions, discussion? All right, we're ready to vote on the motion to approve the resolution establishing the library levy.
Supervisor Adams, we are waiting for you.
Supervisor Adams, are you still with us?
Supervisor Burning is not.
Correct, yes.
Said he was at 7:13 via Teams.
Go ahead, Supervisor Fiedler.
I was just going to make a motion. I think we all know Supervisor Adams is trying to vote. He's around somewhere. I just suggest that he be recorded as a yes, but they have every opportunity to change his vote later. Because I think we've got a series of unanimous votes coming up, and that would just move us along, give him every opportunity to have his vote recorded
I think
and later change it.
I think it might be more appropriate for him to abstain.
Yes.
Correct.
Rather than a yes vote. Let's go that route so we can keep moving.
I would agree with that because the rules do indicate that there's no vote by proxy, so I would just indicate that he has abstained.
And that passes 15-0 with 1 abstention. Thank you. All right, number 4, resolution amending the fund balance policy. Looking for a motion. Maybe someone from the administration committee, Supervisor Shirley?
I make a motion to approve the resolution amending the fund balance policy.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Fiedler. Go ahead, County Administrator.
Yeah, the fund balance policy, it's been a while since it's been updated. Most of the language changes then are really just changing some of the wording, but also updating some of the fund balance numbers that we use. The major change that had been proposed in here from the Moody's rating, increasing the general fund policy from 35% to increasing that, was removed by the administration committee, so it's staying at the 35% plus or minus 3%. So really the rest of it is probably just a cleanup to the policy with no significant policy changes.
Any questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote on the motion to approve the resolution amending the fund balance policy.
How long would you like me to do the same thing and not? I've reached out to him via email, but I haven't gotten a response.
He just
Okay.
texted me. Supervisor Adams just texted me, and I had forwarded him an additional link to the Teams meeting so he could join that way. But he asked if he should continue to vote, and I told him that he can. So either his votes show up, or I guess mark him as abstaining.
That passes 15 to 0 with one abstention. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to number 5. This is a mouthful. Resolution to participate in the State of Wisconsin Department of Employee Trust Funds Public Employers Group Income Continuation Insurance Program. Do we have a motion, please? Anyone? Supervisor Counter.
Yeah. So move that we approve the resolution to participate in the State of Wisconsin Department of Employee Trust Fund Public Employers Group Income Continuation Insurance Program.
Is there a second? Supervisor Shirley. Audrey, thanks for hanging in there with us tonight.
Yeah, I think I have the last agenda item of the night as well, so I'll stay all night. This one, we currently have provided long-term disability benefit to employees. That is an employer-paid benefit. Costs the county approximately $97,000 per year, and we partner with a company called Unum to provide that benefit. So we went out to look to see if there are cheaper alternatives that provide the same benefit out there. We looked at the Employee Trust Funds, or ETF, program. Right now, that program is currently on a premium holiday, which means the benefit is free to employers that they allow to join their group. So that would be a lot cheaper than $100,000 a year. So we are looking to get into that benefit program, and in order to do that, we need a resolution passed by the county board, which is why we're here asking you to pass the resolution tonight. The benefit itself does provide an equal to better benefit than what we currently provide to employees, so it's not taking anything away from the employees either.
Any questions for Audrey on this change? Thank you, Audrey. Don't go away yet. I think we're ready to vote on the motion to approve the resolution number 30. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. On to number 6, another mouthful. Resolution delegating authority to enter into settlement agreements with opioid defendants to the designated St. Croix County officers. I'd like to start with a motion. Supervisor Fiedler.
I'll move the motion you just read, Mr. Chairman.
And a second. Second, Supervisor Leaf. Corporation Counsel.
Yes, so as you know, we have had many items before this board regarding opioid defendants and settlements with those opioid manufacturers. This current resolution would allow for the county administrator to enter into settlement agreements with the defendants without having to have a separate resolution for each settlement. First, the county administrator would have to provide the details of the settlement offer to the county board chair. And then any proceeds settlements after attorney's fees are paid would be placed in our county's opioid abatement account. And then that would come back to the county board eventually to determine how to spend that money. So this resolution just authorizes the county administrator to enter into those settlement agreements instead of having to come back each month or every 2 months to get the approval from the board to enter into those agreements.
Questions for Corporation Counsel on the change? Okay, seeing none, the motion is to approve the resolution. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we're on to number 7, ordinance creating Chapter 68, County Highway Commissioner Contract Authority of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. Do we have a motion from maybe yes, Supervisor Van Summeren.
Make a motion that we create an ordinance, Chapter 68, County Highway Commissioner Contract Authority of St. Croix County Code of Ordinances.
And second, Supervisor Hanson. Robbie, would you like to, Heather, okay.
Speak to this. So this ordinance is basically incorporating the state statute that allows the highway commissioner to contract with cities, villages, and towns for continued operations of the highway department, meaning to fix roads, construct and maintain streets and highways in those municipalities. So by having the ordinance, it just reaffirms the state statute and is something that the county highway commissioner can refer to when he's entering into contracts with those municipalities. And it is the practice that we are currently doing right now. We just start putting it in an ordinance.
Okay, questions for Corporation Counsel on this resolution, or the ordinance, new ordinance? Okay, seeing none, we're ready to vote on creating ordinance Chapter 68. Thank you. That passes unanimously. Now we're on to number 8, ordinance creating Chapter 69, animal-drawn vehicles of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. Do we have a Supervisor Van Summeren?
I make a motion to create an ordinance, Chapter 69, animal-drawn vehicles of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances.
And with second, Supervisor Hanson. Robbie, you're on.
Good evening, Supervisors. This ordinance is in response to requests to the Transportation Committee to consider the repercussions for both animal waste and potential damage due to studded tires that have caused issues throughout the county in various towns. This is a regionalized issue. The committee considered this and brought this forward. So this would be an enforcement option if there was a habitual practice of waste on the roadways and potential damage to roadways, addressing this and giving us forward opportunity to go meet and ensure that there's some public education around this topic.
Questions? Any comments? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote on the, I'm sorry, Supervisor Carlson.
I'm unclear exactly what you're asking for. You just said something about education.
Oh, no, this just provides a tool we go out and inform the community that has and utilizes horse-drawn carriage to ensure they have manure catching devices in place when they're utilizing the roadway and not leaving animal waste on the roadway.
Is there currently an ordinance out there that you use to enforce that?
Not now. This ordinance would create that enforcement mechanism.
Supervisor Cowner?
Just curious, as we've been kind of know who this is for, but have you had the opportunity to get out as like Jason has worked with with a lot of the people that are dealing with this and had the opportunity to get out and communicate that this is coming and so that they're aware that we're going to start an new enforcement rules.
Special thanks to the Community Development Director who has been in those negotiations, and he included that as a topic. This has been a point of discussion for him as well.
Thank you.
Supervisor Carlson?
Yeah. Before I would vote for this, I would like to see exactly what the cost and what the damage is. What the ordinance says, what are the consequences or the punishments of, not following the ordinance. It just seems kind of, you're just asking us to say, yeah, go ahead and make up an ordinance and enforce it on them without us knowing what it is. I'm not comfortable with that. It doesn't seem like we have enough information.
I'm not sure how you'd like me to respond to that. I guess, this is.
Yeah, perhaps I can address that, Supervisor Carlson. Okay, first of all, let's take the horseshoe issue. If you remember back in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, cars were allowed to have carbide studded snow tires. It was a really good idea, but you'll remember that it started destroying the roads. So in a couple of years, they cut that off. In the wintertime, the Amish people use the same kind of carbide studded horseshoes. And we're starting to see deterioration of roads because they're rather sharp, and as the horse's hoof goes down, it has a tendency to pry out the blacktop. In other words, between the ballast, it's eating that fine stuff away. In the wintertime, they will have to use that, and this ordinance allows that wintertime use. In the summertime, they either have to reshoe, or also I've done some research that there's something that you get that fits over that makes it a rubber tire, okay, a rubber hoof. That's one. Number two, the manure droppings. Just about every community has an ordinance about dropping manure on the road. Baldwin does, Woodville does, and we see a lot of it, and the ordinance is not necessarily upheld. They would like the county to help them uphold that. So this is kind of broaden that, probably would make it more well received. In other places where the same people live, the same group of people live, there are these rules in place. In Lancaster, Pennsylvania, for instance, in Illinois and Ohio, same thing, and they have had these ordinances now for a while. It is helping. Now, you know that we're not going to have a sheriff's department following horses and carriages around, but occasionally when they see that happen, then they can uphold it, then they can warn them, for one thing. We're getting requests at the highway department from neighbors who say, it doesn't sound like a bad deal, but every time he drives his car out of his driveway or into his driveway, it smells like manure. And when you get just the right amount of rain, it's very slippery and very dangerous for him or his family driving their cars. So this ordinance would speak to that also. So it's kind of, hope that helps to explain it. That's the reason for the need for this.
How do I see a copy of the actual ordinance?
The actual ordinance is on the screen. It's just 2 pages. It's the definitions.
Oh, I missed it.
Yep. Okay. And then damage to county roads, the shoes, letter A. And then 6905 was the manure catching devices that Supervisor Van Summeren was speaking about. And then the penalty is standard. It's our forfeiture schedule, Chapter 1.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
And Chair, if I may, I would also add under the damage to roadways, state statute already kind of gives us guidance on that already. So this is just going to be help make sure it's enumerated clearly and effectively. And that's the goal with this ordinance, is a help for that enforcement if there's specific areas that it's a challenge. Other counties just east of us are facing the same issue. This is something we see in a regionalized area throughout the state.
Other questions, comments? Okay, we're going to vote on the motion to approve the resolution creating Chapter 69. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, number 9, ordinance amending Chapter 79 of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances regarding all-terrain and utility terrain vehicle route. Do we have a motion for this resolution? Supervisor Van Summeren?
I make a motion regarding the ordinance amending Chapter 79 of St. Croix County Code of Ordinances, all-terrain and utility vehicle routes.
And second? Supervisor Swanepoel. Okay, you're on again.
This ordinance would just be updating a section as part of our annual process. Towns and municipalities are allowed to submit applications for county trunk highways for opening sections to ATV, UTV use. This year, we had one application in the town of Kinnickinnick. We worked with the town on clarifying as well as dealing with a few accident-prone areas. And the committee approved a section of County Highway J, which is added to the ordinance on the bottom, and that would be the only change to the ordinance.
Questions, comments? Supervisor Anderson.
So this is something that the town board recommended as a board?
Yes, our process requires the local jurisdiction to provide approval first before we would consider it. We just don't want to get in a situation where we'd approve a trail that the town did not approve.
Right, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Other comments, questions? Supervisor Van Summeren.
Thank you. I might also add that before this decision is made, it comes to this point, a lot of research is done as far as how many accidents happen at these corners, accidents happen on these roads, the speed that the vehicles normally drive on that, all traffic speed, so that it's not just open to whoever asks, it's open to a lot of research to make certain that the safety of the public is held high.
Thank you for that clarification. Other comments, questions? All right, we're ready to vote on approving the ordinance amending Chapter 79. And that passes unanimously as well. Thank you. All right, we're on the last business agenda item. Resolution amending personnel policies, expense reimbursement, and personnel leave of absence. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the resolution number 31, resolution amending personnel policies and expense reimbursable policy, personal leave of absence policy.
Thank you. Second, Supervisor Counter. Audrey, you're on.
So there's two policies. We have the expense reimbursement and personal leave of absence. So with the expense reimbursement, all we did was update the meal reimbursement section, and that is just to follow the Federal General Services Administration per diem rate so that we don't have to change those so frequently. We'll just refer to the GSA rates every year. And then the personal leave of absence, all we did was update the definition for the active pay status. That's really for HR benefit and employee benefit to understand better when you go into an unpaid pay status that impacts your eligibility for benefits. So we want to make sure that we're defining what that means and when that occurs.
Questions, comments? Okay, everybody's a little tired, aren't they? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the resolution amending personnel policies. We're ready to vote. And that is approved unanimously. Thank you. Okay, request for future agenda items. The only thing that I can say is that I think we're probably going to need to move fairly quickly on the two items that we postponed to make sure that we get the information that we need and keep that process moving so we can all come to an understanding of where we want to go on that. Supervisor Shirley?
I just wanted to get it on the record that I talked with Corporation Counsel, and if Excel moves forward, I guess Heather, if you could say we're set to have an emergency session if need be.
Yes,
Correct?
so the county board can call by the county board chair an emergency session of the county board with 24 hours notice to the public. So that is allowed by statute, and so I did assure Supervisor Shirley that if the Xcel Energy files an application with the PSC, that can be a request that can be made to the county board chair, and he can call an emergency meeting of the county board.
Yeah, and we're going to need to be a little more flexible because we may need to call a meeting or two. We want to make sure we have an opportunity to meet with the towns and the municipalities. So we'll work around that, and we just are going to need to be a little flexible with our time-wise and our schedules to make sure that we can keep that process moving and address those issues. I hope that's acceptable. Go ahead.
Yeah, did you want to pick a date then for that joint meeting?
Pick a date.
I mean, it's future agenda items, but I mean, selecting the date of the next meeting is also something that you can do at this point. So the soonest we could probably do it would be Monday, August 18th at 5 PM. That would be
that would be for the towns?
the joint meeting with the towns.
Okay.
And I would invite Excel Energy to that meeting also. I mean, that'd be my recommendation.
We might as well, see what happens. What does the 18th look like? That's a Monday.
I'll say personally, I prefer it be any date but the 18th.
Oh.
I can do any other date in August but the 18th at 5 o'clock.
Well, I have to ask, does that work for everybody else? You know, when scheduling some of these special meetings, we may not find a date that it's going to work for everybody. So we just, in order to keep the process moving.
Yeah, so the rest of that week, there's meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, committees already meeting. So we can go to the next week. The next week is fully open. So August 25th through the 29th, if you want to meet on a Friday night. But that week is open also, any night. So if the 18th is too soon or the date just doesn't work, do you want to look at the week of the 25th?
Do a show of hands for.
I kind of prefer not to wait, but I want to hear from everybody. What are your thoughts?
Show of hands for the 18th?
Sorry?
Show of hands for the 18th?
18th? Okay. Sorry, Vice Chair Fiedler. I guess you get to be absent once in a while.
Sure.
All right, we're going to shoot for
Sure.
the 18th then, and, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Supervisor Connor.
If we're doing it, our primary date is the 18th, but because we're coordinating with other municipalities, we might want to set a secondary date for that next week that we preset to make sure that we can get the attendance for that too.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Maybe that following Monday, the 25th, as a secondary backup date. I see nodding heads. That's good.
Show of hands again?
Yeah.
You got to think of everything.
Okay. Any other requests for future agenda items? Supervisor Van Summer.
As was brought up by some of the public comment tonight, I'd like to see the update to Chapter 11, that manure business, put in our next agenda.
Yeah, that's the manure ordinance, and I believe that already is on Community Development's committee's agenda. So that'll be coming up through committee for community development in the next month or two. Well, it's really no discussion at this point. It's just a request for future agenda item.
It's on the docket, yeah.
The other thing that we probably should consider is, making a laundry list of the things that we ideally would like to include in JDA. At least we can give Excel the opportunity to reject or accept or whatever the case may be. But as someone from the public said, we might as well ask. There's no harm in asking. But that list really should be probably collected by, maybe a list already exists, I'm not sure. By community development. Thank you, Sean. And then do we try to schedule a meeting with Excel to discuss that as a group?
Well, I think we're going to invite them to the joint meeting.
Okay.
So, I think the way I envision this future agenda item is it's an open discussion about the JDA with the townships and with Excel Energy, and you should bring your list of items for that meeting. And we can just go through the JDA and say, this language isn't acceptable, we want more, this is missing, so that you can get everything on the table. And Excel's not going to do anything at that meeting. They're just going to go back and go, okay, we'll consider all the items you just mentioned.
Okay, does that sound, Superintendent Van Summeren?
Could I suggest, when you set that meeting up, Ken, that you ask Xcel Energy for someone who is not the salesperson, Brian, who we saw earlier, who never answered a single question that was asked of him, and maybe someone who could answer questions and maybe give us a little more feeling for where they're at?
I don't think we really get to pick who we negotiate with, so.
We can ask. We can ask. Supervisor Carlson.
What about the public's involvement in at the meeting? They're going to want to know if they can do comment and ask questions. So what would be the rules, so to speak?
I don't know that there's rules. I think the proper protocol would probably be not to necessarily have public comment. I don't know if.
Yeah, as a special meeting, the chair is going to establish what the rules are. There may or may not be public comment, and a joint meeting may not be quite the right forum for that. We've heard several times from the public. I think we've heard all of the comments on that, and I think there'd be another opportunity for the public to comment after that meeting about what they saw and the things they like or don't like on that. So to be a
Thanks
more
for
efficient
clarifying.
meeting, there probably won't be any public involvement at that, but they would be allowed to participate as far as viewing of the negotiations going on. It'll be conducted right here, and they can sit in those chairs and watch it all.
And of course, when the time comes when we actually vote on yay or nay on a JDA or intervener, that certainly would be a public meeting that they would have the opportunity for public comment. Anything else?
Question, Bob.
Yes, Supervisor Barkalow.
One of the public comments tonight was about supervisor for District 10 and in that position. Is that, where would we address that, I guess?
It's kind of a delicate.
Yeah, we all love Dave. He's a great guy.
I suppose, yeah, well, we can.
So that would be an item that would be placed directly on the county board to remove a county board supervisor for non-attendance. So is that something that you want on the agenda? Are you making a request for that, or are you just inquiring about what the process is?
Yeah, I guess that would be the first, my first question is what is the process, and then should we move forward?
Yes, I can speak to that. So the county board rules do have a section regarding removal. I believe this is Article 1. It's on page 7. So any member of the county board, subunit, or other governmental body may be removed for cause by the county board as provided by statute. So it would be an agenda item on a county board agenda to vote as to whether or not to remove a county board supervisor.
Okay. So I guess I'm formally requesting that we put that on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Any other requests? County clerk report, correspondence, announcements? Any announcements? Okay, well, it is 7:54. We're adjourned.
I'll second what that fellow said when he came up. Good job.